We are live. I always say that. We got Sara Smith today, you guys, and I'm so happy to bring her into the group. So if you're joining us and you're hopping on in the next few minutes, say hi. Tell us your name, where you're from, so we can chat with you. We want this to be conversational. I'm going to let Sara tell you all about who she is and what she does. She's been in this group. She's part of the Food Confidence Club. You'll see her more and more in this group. And we have a special announcement at the end. If you're watching the replay, definitely hashtag replay and let us know that you're watching this so that we can come back and answer any of your questions. And I'm just so excited you're here, Sara. And
me too.
Time to join me today in this coffee chat. Now I have my coffee here, but it's gone cold, so I'm not drinking
water.
I need it. Water. It's not that time of the day when my coffee goes cold. I'm like, nope, time to switch.
Iced coffee is one thing. Cold coffee is really gross.
My husband drinks cold coffee like all morning long.
Yeah, that's impressive. Like I said, iced coffee I can do. The cold thing, no thank you. Hello. Hi, Wendy.
So yeah. If you guys are hopping on, do you drink cold coffee? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Please let me know.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have met Sara, interacted with Sara in the group before. She's been on a few lives here in this group, but what she does and what I think that she can really help all of us with is we talk about tuning into our body a lot in this group, our hunger, our fullness cues, tuning back into our intuition, struggling with emotional eating. Now, I know I talk with you guys a lot about that and intuitive eating, listening to what your body is telling you. But I want Sara to share with you what she does and how she helps women get to their core, which is really tuning into their body and what it wants and what it means to find your core confidence. So Sara, that was like almost a tongue twister for me. What is and how do you help women find their core confidence?
Yeah.
First of all, what do you do?
I know. I was going to start with that because I have my doctorate in physical therapy. And for years, I was really specializing in not just women's health physical therapy, but pelvic floor physical therapies. That could be male and female and beyond. And then also chronic pain healing. And so the connection has been that, and the reason why I talk about core so much and getting to your core confidence and then getting to the core of your being is what I found with doing pelvic floor physical therapy is that a lot of us are not in tune or in touch with the pelvis at all. It's kind of become this off limits. It's not kind of become, like literally from the beginning of time. We have this beautiful central empowerment source. It's where if you study chakras, for example, the first and second chakra are where your seat of safety and security are formed. And then where your creativity is and ability to like shift your life and transform, it all starts in the pelvis. And so when I talk about getting into and listening to the messages of the body, what I was discovering as a pelvic floor therapist, and also as a yogi and as a coach, what I was finding was that we're not in touch with this part of the body. We're not really in touch with our bodies at all. We're living a lot in the mind, and the mind is habitually negative. I mean, you preach this too, Wendy. The mind is habitually negative. Research has proved that time and time again. And so where the wisdom is in the body. But what I really am like so shouting from the hills is it's not just the wisdom of the body, it's getting into the core of us. So we start by bringing the attention from the head down into all the way into the pelvis, where because the reason for this, again, it's the seed of safety and security. At some point in your life, when you were younger, and then again, there are times where our needs are not met. Our
Mm-hmm.
most basic need to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to be respected, to be acknowledged, to be praised. These things were missing, and it's not always because of trauma, right? It's
You're resonating with me on that right now because there's been a couple of people in this group. I didn't want to stop you, but
please, yeah.
there's been a couple of people that have reached out to me. I put a question up about your first diet last week. And it's always interesting to me when I ask that question, the responses I get, and people will say that they went on a diet at a very early age. And when I ask them what triggered that diet, it's always like my grandmother told me that I needed to lose weight. My parents put me on the diet. My healthcare provider told my mother in front of me that I was overweight. Later on in life, like the tennis coach or the gym teacher told me that, like, well, when I lost weight, well, why didn't you look like that when I coached you? I've had clients tell me the dad dropped her off at cheerleading practice and told her if she lost a little weight, she would look like the other cheerleaders. Goes on and on with these. Back to what you were saying, traumatic, really.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't
You might not have attributed that at the time.
but you can go back to, and I think
well, and the piece is, I want to add to those stories, because a lot of the stories that I hear, and I like to sometimes we use visualization and different tools to do this, but a lot of the stories that I've heard is young girls who are hiding and they're emotionally eating, and they've either, again, experienced some form of shaming by their parents. Their parents may have meant to, their parents may have been like, just literally trying to do their best, the best that they can, and they're just frustrated and stressed. So it's, again, it covers a continuum. But women who share with me, I would lock myself in the bathroom, and that was my way of receiving comfort. Again, was I would eat. I could sneak away that bag of cookies and enjoy those, and I felt comfort. It all goes back again to feeling. And so, but as adults, those were coping mechanisms, and they, in their most loving form, were necessary at that time, because we were young and we were looking to adults for something, and there was a mismatch there, whether it was intentional or unintentional. I believe we always come from a place of love, and so we can then be the adult for ourselves now. And when we are in tune with what we're really feeling, we really start peeling back the layers. I mean, Wendy, I even do this for myself so often, of peeling back the layers of, like, what am I really feeling? What am I really needing right now? The other day I was really craving chocolate and wine, and
sounds great to me.
Sounds amazing, right? And it wasn't, but what I noticed was it was also, as I just was being aware and in my body, the main reason that I was desiring that, and it was really a craving for me, while I was craving that, was because I was feeling very out of control. And I was feeling very alone and upset. And there was a lot of tension in my gut. And I felt kind of shut off from my pelvic floor. And that was the reason why that I couldn't get it out of my head. Right. So then with being that aware, you have a choice.
It always comes down to a choice.
I had a beautiful choice. And so then I was able to give myself kind of that warm blanket, so to speak, of nourishment in other ways. I was able to take a warm shower. I was able to phone a friend. I was able to use my voice and say to my husband, it would feel so good if I could just have a hug for, a long hug right now. And then I was able to have a glass of wine with dinner, and it was amazing, and a piece of dark chocolate after dinner, but it wasn't the craving sense. Like, it wasn't this power over me sort of thing. It was
We
freedom.
just talked about this in a workshop we had Tuesday night. And the monthly workshop that we had was on emotional eating.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the process that I talk people through. And it's like when you have that craving, if you have the choice, like you said, a beautiful choice. And a lot of times I'll say, like, take 5 minutes and sit with the feelings. And then if wine and chocolate is what is going to truly serve you in that moment, then have it. If you're not hungry and that's not really going to serve you, like, let's explore some other options. And like you said, you have other tools in your toolbox, and because you've cultivated that and you've worked on your core, your inner core. Oh, and I use that word a lot, not core confidence in the same way, but it's kind of the same thing. We talk about core values a lot in this group.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that.
And so one last thing to say about the feelings is, some people, it's pretty easy to understand your feelings. The majority of us, though, are really not equipped to do that alone. And we don't have the words for all the different feelings, like, because nobody's spoken to us in that language. And so it can be a little
like
strange.
a storyline in your head sometimes. Yeah.
And so, there is a difference between what we are mentally feeling and what we're physically feeling. And so sometimes it can be easier for somebody to access what they're physically feeling in their body versus somebody else may have the thought of it or the emotion of it. And so there usually needs to be some loving hand holding and direction and drawing out, of like, what is it really that you're feeling?
From
So
a
I want to say that.
professional, I think, because it can be hard to sit there and work through that on your own.
Yes. And especially with things that are your blind spot. So, like, Wendy, you and I have talked before about, you do it so easily now with food. I do it so easily now with food, but you and I have shared, privately that in our business sense, we need handholding with that, right? Because it's new. So then to go back to the core piece, for me, it's all about what I love to teach and what I'm so deeply passionate about is that we have to access the pelvis first. A lot of times when we talk about core, people are talking about the heart.
Muscle. Yeah. Or trunk.
Yeah.
I think, core,
Trunk.
when I hear it, it's the
Maybe
muscle,
gut.
your abs or something. Yeah.
We think it's abs. And it is, that's a physical piece of it, right? But it's actually deeper layers. So you have layers of abdominal muscles and inner core muscles that actually include pelvic floor muscles, these little multifidus muscles that sit up and down the spine, the transverse abdominis, which is real deep, and then the diaphragm over top. So those are like the physical inner core muscles. And then we have these inner spaces of the viscera, the internal organs. And those inner spaces are the bowl of the pelvis, which, house for some women uterus and ovaries. Of course, sometimes those have been removed, the bowel, the rectum, bladder. We get up into the gut. And so kind of like if you can even just, as you're listening to us right now, and Wendy, we'll both practice this together too, we feel what it's like in that pelvic bowl where we're sitting. And we feel what it's like to be in tune with our gut as we're also listening and talking and interacting with this or commenting. Let me know, comment as you're listening to this. And then we go into the cart. Okay. So it's like the elevator tube or shaft in the center of your body. Then we access the heart, because the heart is where we can come from a place of love, a place of forgiveness, a place of our highest good, as opposed to, disconnection. And then it's the throat, because we can't really live our truth and know our truth and our creativity without being able to share it with others. And so even as we're here right now, and then, then it goes up into the brain. Usually we're all up here, right? But then it goes up into the brain.
Diet brain is what I refer to it as in here.
We don't need as much of percentage of our attention in the brain and in our thoughts as we think we do. We really need about probably 90% in our body, like literally being attentive with what you feel from the pelvis all the way up the core. And then we get the rational brain in.
How do you help people? Like, I was just thinking, how I help people get out of diet brain. How do you help people get out of their brain? I know you've helped me get out of my brain, not with food, but into their core.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you help women with that?
Yeah.
I mean, we're stressed. So many of us are living in a stressful world, and you help women with that. So I love to hear. I know everyone out there would love to hear about your process. How do you do that?
Well, the first main secret that I have is, and this is somewhat being an intuitive healer and being a practitioner for a long time, is the first thing is I don't really have a cookie cutter approach. I have a deep wellspring of tools that I draw on. And so I pull out different bits and pieces depending on the individual that I'm working with or the group that I'm working with.
Did you hear that, ladies? Anybody listening, catching the replay, I want you to hear what she just said. It's an individual, it's not a cookie cutter approach. Like, we are all unique. And I want to emphasize that, because diets are cookie cutter.
Ooh, yeah.
We're not that here. So go ahead, Sarah.
I love that. I love when you get saucy with your
I do.
Love it. Yeah. So, I one of the things to kind of talk about that is I share personal stories. Stories heal. And I think it always helps us to know that we're not alone. Interestingly, I work on the phone, so I don't look eye to eye with my people a lot. And the reason I do that is because I have found, even though it's different, I have found that we can both get very real and truthful with each other. And it also is a way that helps me. It sounds kind of strange by not seeing the eyes. It just helps me kind of tap in more intuitively. But when we're there, what I'll find is it's a lot of times being very lovingly present with another person. Most of us are not seen and heard at all. We don't feel seen and heard. We're feeling very alone. And we're processing things that we're trying to process alone. We don't feel like we should process it with another person. Maybe we have processed it with other people before, but I don't know. We're just kind of like, I don't really want to have to do that.
Maybe we over-process with all the wrong people.
And then we yeah, exactly. All the wrong people, like friends and family, So anyway, so when we come together, it's like we just drop the drama story, not the story, but the drama story. And we really get into like, what is it that's really kind of bothering you and chipping away at you? What do we need to process? So we get very, very real together. And then another sort of, I guess, technique or tool that I'll do is I'll constantly, with love, asking the questions of like, what are you feeling right now in your body? I sense that you're all up in your head. Let's come back down. Or you're partly in your head and partly in your body. Let's bring it back down. The wisdom, in my opinion, is really, it all starts in the pelvis, and it is housed then within the entire core. But again, we cannot speak our wisdom. We cannot have love with that wisdom or feel safe enough to express that inner wisdom if we first don't really embody again. And for a lot of us, it's felt very unsafe to embody our bodies. That may be because of, again, trauma. That may be because of stress. That may be because, again, somebody has been shamed. You've been reading magazines. You feel insignificant. Like, these are big things. The majority of us are very, very cut off.
So many women are trying to break free from
I
negative
find,
thoughts in this group about their
yeah,
body and about diets and their weight, and they'll encounter barriers and obstacles to
yeah.
finding food freedom, which is what they're ultimately looking for.
What I feel like, and this is a really out there concept, from the beginning of time, I think that it's been known and then immediately tried to shut off. It's been known that we have this incredible inner wisdom, and especially women, and especially in the pelvis. We are very, very powerful. I mean, we have the ability we have just such love and compassion and fire within us to really shift our communities, our families, the world. But from the beginning of time, that inner pelvic power, so to speak, has been very creates a lot of nervousness for a lot of people. And so interestingly, I think that just as you look historically, we are constantly just shunted back up into the brain. And then it happens in our own lives too, but we don't need to do that anymore. Like, what's so fascinating, what I found myself is that, I may not want to sit in shame. I may not want to sit in anger. I may not want to experience, ooh, I don't like this part of my body, or this or that. But when I do, when you bring yourself back into a state of wholeness, then suddenly you have more confidence to make the choices that before were like pulling teeth to make. Like, I've got to do this, like I've got to schedule in a workout. I've got to eat this salad. Ugh. Like, instead, we just want to access our wholeness. We want to be in touch with what's really going on so that we're in loving service of ourselves. Like, it is a radical act of self-love to be able to go, what is it that I'm really experiencing and feeling right now?
I know a lot of women in this group, they struggle with diet, that being in their head, like you said, those thoughts.
Yeah.
And then being so stressed out because of work and family and trying to balance that, all the balls. And then all up in their head. Sometimes they learn about intuitive eating, which we talk about in the group, and even that becomes another diet or a way to try to perfectionism is rampant with a lot of women.
Yeah.
It causes a lot of stress. It causes me too. I'm a recovering everyday perfectionist, but a lot of stress and anxiety. And I guess perfectionism is one of the root things that holds people back from intuitive eating. It's blocking women from being an intuitive eater. So I love how you just said you help women get out of their brain and get back into what they're feeling.
Yeah, because perfectionism is a shell. Like, I can only say that because I've invested and done the deep work of being able to now finally understand that perfectionism is a shell. So it's like putting on your bad armor battle, your battle, like it's putting on the armor of day-to-day life because there's something that feels like you need to protect.
Mm-hmm. If anyone else feels that way, put me in the comments and we'll circle back and chat with you if you're watching the replay.
Yeah. And so it's a shell. And we hide behind it. We get very scared, naturally so, myself included. It's like, well, what if I don't? If I don't do this, if I don't juggle all the balls, if I don't do this, it's not all going to work. I was talking with one of my long-term clients yesterday, and she has owned a very, very well-established family business for a long time. And she was saying, when I first started working with you, she was like, I was working 70-hour weeks and there was no other option. and I had 2 kids, and they were, getting ready to go towards college, and there was just there was nothing I felt like I could let go of without massive repercussions. And one of the things she was reminding me of, because this is another little Sarah-ism that's not mine, but that I've learned as a tool over time, is that so? Is that so? And so as we started peeling away that and allowing her nervous system really to rest and to really contemplating and go into the spaces of her body and the mind and the spirit, over the course of a year and a half, she now takes at least 1 or 2 days off of work. She's way more efficient when she's in work. She's not yelling at her kids 24/7. She, is engaging with them. She's able to have meaningful conversations and apologize or regroup when something's happening. We were actually talking yesterday about she's stepped into another stressful situation at work, and she was noticing she was kind of going back to some of her old food, and mindset things, which is very common. And again, she was kind of beating herself up, and I'm like, no, this is what the nervous system is designed to do. It's designed to keep you safe, and you go to the easiest, simplest pathway that that's already been ingrained. But since you were aware, what are you going to nourish yourself? How are you going to choose to nourish yourself tonight when you go home? And so perfectionism is a shell.
I love how you said that.
And we can take it off.
It is. It's a coping it's a way we've learned how to cope.
Yeah.
So we are half hour into this. Should we go ahead?
We should.
And talk about our big announcement. Okay, you guys, if you haven't met Sara before, she is not new to this group. We have an announcement for you. Okay, so we have the gift of freedom.
Just tell them.
We have a virtual retreat, and it's a luxurious virtual retreat. We have all been through a lot this last year, and so Sara and I were like, how can we make this special for you guys? And how can we help you? And what can we do in this retreat to help you with some of these things we've talked about, these barriers, to use some of the practices that her and I both like. We both have our signature philosophies, but they work so well together. How can we help you guys? And we thought a retreat would be a wonderful thing, but we're in COVID. So it's going to be a virtual retreat. Sara has partnered with RVA gift boxes to get a
gifted RVA. Yeah.
A beautiful box curated by yours truly, Wendy and Sara, with all the things that you'll need for this retreat in a box shipped to your house. So we'll be using everything in that box throughout the weekend. Thinking of some of the major questions that we have. What is this retreat? What are we going to talk about? It's called the Gift of Freedom. And we just couldn't, it was called the Gift of Freedom, the holiday season. And we thought about changing it because we used the word gift, and we're like, nah.
Still a gift.
We still need gifts. And we're sending you a gift. And this is freedom. This is what I couldn't think of a better word to use. So if you've been battling with perfectionism, if you've battled with emotional eating, or feeling like you can't get in touch with your body or your hunger and your fullness cues, we have a whole entire weekend lined up to help you through these things. You can.
And one of the things, I love how you just shared all that, because if we're looking for mind and body and food and spirit freedom, right? We really like, as Wendy and I were preparing for the original retreat, it was like what we were discovering was people are wanting joy. They're wanting ease in their life. They're wanting like the schedule to lessen, less stress, less pressure, less mind on repeat about, you know, what they're going to be eating and what it's going to be like and what their body feels like throughout, you know, the day. And as they bend over, everything, all that stuff that really takes over. So that freedom came in. But if you've never attended a retreat before, retreats, even at home, because I actually just did a retreat for myself in a group that I'm in. Even retreats at home, they are such an incredible, powerful container to pause and to give well desired intention to reach your goals and to really set into motion everything that you're desiring. Retreats are such a beautiful, sacred, magical container for that. Like I said, I just experienced this myself, that even in the virtual platform, and we will be setting up a lot with the gift that you receive. And you know, Wendy especially, but myself too, we're going to be curating like, you know, kind of recipes and just a whole kind of package and PDF for you to make sure that you're creating this sacred container of this retreat so that you really can gift yourself, and that we can gift you this mind and body and food and self freedom.
Yeah. Rooted in self-care, not control, none of that. So if you want to learn more about that, put gifts in the comments. This is our first announcement. We are going to kick off the doors open for an early bird enrollment in a couple weeks. So if you're interested in this, definitely we want to invite you to get on the wait list, because you'll be the first to learn about it. And we're keeping this small because we think, you know, if it gets too big, you don't have that special,
Right.
You lose touch. If there's too many people, you don't get the individual personal attention that we can give each and every one of you. So if you want to be on the wait list, gift in the comments or reach out to me. Sarah, is there?
I know, I feel like there is, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Isn't also, I think we have some bonuses for people that if you get on the wait list, and then you decide to join us once enrollment opens. I feel like there's some bonuses, but I can't remember what we said, Wendy. What did we say?
We can throw out some bonuses. There's a sleep bonus, and I have a mealtime simulation bonus. Yeah, we could throw that out there for anyone that wants to get on the wait list and signs up.
Yeah, there are some bonuses there. Absolutely. Yeah. So like a kind of how to up level your sleep, and that really combines kind of research and real tools. And then the mealtime simulation is absolutely fantastic. I've done that before with Wendy, and it's amazing. So, and then what is the date that enrollment will open?
Enrollment opens on the 26th.
The 26th.
So a couple weeks. You got a couple weeks. We're building the wait list out. So you want to get on that wait list because we want to keep it. We really don't want it to be more than 20 to 25 people. So, yeah, if you're interested, definitely get on the wait list. And if you enroll with Early Bird, then you get the bonus, the sleep time bonus, and the meal time simulation experience, which will actually be doing that together during the retreat. So you'll get those when you leave the retreat. So you'll have something to almost like take home with you and carry on. We're going to be talking about sleep in the retreat too, and stress management and all of those things that you'll need to like walk away and feel more rooted in your core confidence and your core values, and you're able to tune in to what your body wants and needs versus going and seeking like external things like diets. All
Love it.
right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you for having me on.
It's been so great. Okay, you guys, any other questions? Let me know. Type gift in the comments, and we will see you guys soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.